Well, kia ora everyone, and welcome to this month's Tech Bytes conversation that I have with a digital leader in New Zealand. And it's my great pleasure and privilege to be talking to your mate, Jason Paris. Once again, great to talk to you. Look, we last spoke in April 2021. I thought it was sooner than that, but it's actually 3 years. In the midst of that pandemic, we had no idea how long it would go for. And actually, I just checked this morning. You were the first person we did in this series of podcasts way back in 2020. So we started back in those lockdown days. Whew.
What an honor. And I was just
Yeah.
going to say, Craig, you try to get a digital leader, but couldn't get one. So you've got me on instead.
All right. No, you're a big name in the business, mate. Look, I've looked over the questions that I did ask then, so I thought I'd ask some of them again, but we've got some new ones as well. And look, yes, we'll talk about the Warriors at some point because you
Up the
can't.
wards.
Yeah, you can't do that with old super fan Jason Paris. Look, I'm back in 2021. I asked you how you coped with 2020, but look, honestly, we didn't even know at that point we're going to have this long tail to the pandemic, particularly in Auckland.
Mm.
How did it change you as a person and as a leader?
Wow, it's a big question. Quite significantly. So the first thing is I realized something about myself personally is that when I'm under stress, which COVID created a lot of stress for everyone, I become insular and I actually should be more open. So what I decided to do that I needed to fix everything and solve everything. And so I was working crazy hours. I was ignoring the family, locking myself in that point in time in my young child's bedroom, and that wasn't healthy. And I wasn't as productive as I should have been. And then that was the first lockdown. Second lockdown got a little bit better, but still not perfect. And then coming out of COVID, coming back into the workforce, I really realized I get my energy from other people. That when it gets tough, I need other people around me. I need to be more open, less insular, and I'm still working on that, but I'm getting a whole heap better at it.
That's really fascinating. Because I've written in the New Members newsletter today, I found an academic article that talks about hybrid working and glide time, saying that 2 days a week at home is probably the right number for the maximum productivity. That if you work at home all the time, it's easily distracted, and if you work in the office all the time, you're not as productive as either. So that's a fascinating little conversation
Yeah,
to have.
yeah. Some people watching this are probably aware we're in a dispute at the moment with one of the unions. It's a small percentage of the workforce, but everyone is important. And like our contracts say 5 days a week in the office, but one of the attractions of working for One New Zealand is the freedom that we provide, and we have done that even before the pandemic, to be honest. But we're like you, we've worked out that 3 days in the office is about right, and that the team should self-determine what days they are, because and they can be flexible every week, depending on what you're working on, or actually what's happening in your life, right? Sometimes you've got sick kids or something, or you've just got a project that you just don't want people to come up and trying to have a cup of tea with you. You just need to be focused. And so having kind of flexibility within that construct is important, but we believe in it. We think it's that kind of mix is the most productive, best for mental health, best way to train and bring people through the organization is actually having them be able to sit beside you and or listen to the conversations around them. So like you, we think that kind of 3-2 is about right.
Yeah, cool. Look, I didn't mean to get onto that topic, but
No,
now
it's
that
all
we've
good.
got on, now we've got onto those sorts of things. We've seen a lot of change. I mean, last time I talked to you, it was Vodafone.
Yeah.
Uh, so now One. What are the big significant changes that you've made that you think are setting One up for the future?
Well, again, contrary to media, I actually think our service has got significantly better. Like to the point we publish, I think we're the only telco that publishes our daily service results. So that looks at things like how many calls are coming in, how many of them were fixed first time, repeat calls, transfers, etc. Because we're significantly better than we were, and even just the barbecue test, when I first started in this job 5 years ago, I kind of had to allow the first 20 minutes for people to complain. And now, I still got the odd complaint, but I actually normally get to enjoy the barbecue now, which is a good sign. So I think service, but we're still a long way from where we want to get to. So, we talk a little bit of like, when was the last time you called Netflix? Well, never. We're a digital service. Why should anyone need to call us? So how do you design service out of your products? Leadership in 5G, big thing. The use cases haven't come as fast as we thought they would, so clearly it's about speed and latency, but we thought there would be faster advancements in things like remote robotics. I think AI has driven more of a technology transformation than 5G has. Probably the biggest use case in 5G is private virtual networks. So you can actually carve out little kind of like mini networks within your pipe and dedicate them to businesses in the main. That's probably the biggest use case we're seeing in New Zealand and internationally. And then I think on that network side, our partnership with SpaceX is going to be a game changer. It's a few months ahead of schedule, and New Zealand we're a nation of explorers, and so being able to have connectivity when you need it through your smartphone in your pocket is going to be a big thing as well. So that'll be the three things, I think: service, network, and then the partnership with SpaceX.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that 5G one. We won't talk more about it today, but you're right about the use cases. I see that out of Mobile World Congress, the three major network providers are saying they can now do the network slicing, but we'll wait and see when that gets delivered.
Yeah.
Those of you watching this would have seen it was a bit dark before I had a power outage. It's just suddenly come back on. But we'll keep going. Now, look, you've been the CEO of your organisation for 5 years and 4 months. I checked LinkedIn. But I did notice this morning that Satya Nadella had been the CEO of Microsoft for 10 years. And I'm in my 10th year as well. But anyway, look, coming back to you, because it's about you, not me. What keeps you going each day to go to work again?
I love it. Like, seriously. It might be a bit of imposter syndrome. I still cannot believe I'm in this role. And actually, to be honest, most of my mates are going, how the hell did you get this job as well? Who know me really well. So they keep me pretty grounded. And I think, again, we talked about the pandemic. We were just reminded of what we provide, how important it is to the country through the cyclone, what we provide, how important it is to the country. So it's not difficult to get motivated when you see the positive and negative impacts that connectivity and the applications that run on that technology can have. So we're a very purpose-driven organization. Our owners, so, you want to work for good people. I've had a couple of, mainly probably one stint in my career where there was a values mismatch with the people that I was reporting to. And that's definitely not the case now. They are just fantastic human beings that really care deeply about the success of this country over the long term. So that's cool. And the biggest, I think, and I've still got lots of ideas, as my team would tell you, which are not always great ideas, but I'm still just as passionate now as I was in day one. And then my children would say our partnership with Live Nation, where they can sometimes get free music tickets. So that's the most important thing for them.
I keep saying to people, my board always has great ideas, and I have to deal with those. And then my team is the same as yours. Like, you have great ideas, Craig, but that one's not going to quite fly. So I know where
they
you're coming
manage
from.
me now with a yes, great idea, JP, but not now. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Oh dear. Hey, let's go back to 5G, because as you said, it's been coming for a while, and I know they're talking 6G, but we still haven't seen the promise of 5G yet. I mean, what enhancements or new features do you think we're going to see in that space in the next year or so?
I think it's actually it's going to be through the immediacy of the AI applications that are needed now. So AI being deployed across everything everywhere is going to, in a lot of instances, rely on massive amounts of data being delivered without latency.
Mm.
The compute power that's going to be required. And I think fiber is a really important part of that infrastructure, but then so is, I think, the 5G connectivity that you can use to infill, because fiber can't get everywhere. So that's why I think that it will start to explode. It's interesting. It's never the network engineers that create the innovation. It's always the market that you hand that platform over to. So I think 5G times AI will equal the use cases coming through, and that's probably the area that we're most excited about, Craig. And we've deployed the variations of AI within our organization for quite some years now, whether it's data-led analytics or robotic process automation or natural language or generative AI. But we're now seeing that hype has become reality. We sent one of our leaders summer across to Oxford to do a master's in AI over a year ago in preparation for this coming. She's now been promoted to our executive team. She's hiring and developing a much larger part of our organization and scaling those use cases. So she's working very closely with Tony, who's our CTO, on AI, fiber, 5G now, and how this data explosion will how our networks can enable it.
Someone gave a great presentation to our tech summit last year, so
Oh,
keen to
nice.
hear yeah, she did a great job.
Thank you for that. She's super talented.
Yeah, the other little talking about AI and device and things. The other day I saw a little piece about some startup building a mobile phone that only has AI, so no apps. So you just say to it, "I want to ring somebody, or I want to talk to somebody." Yeah,
Yeah, I
fascinating.
think that was from CES. Rabbit it was a little device with an operating system on it, and then there's also the AI pin from Humane AI, which I think is interesting as well, which has a laser that
Yes.
uses your hand for as the screen. And so I think that's fascinating. I had a couple of meetings with Apple and Samsung, who are important partners, and I just said, how are you feeling about these companies leapfrogging the device interface and just going, I'm going to live my life, and I go to the fridge and I go, add milk to the grocery list, and then when I get to the grocery store, I say grocery list, and it comes up, or order an Uber versus having to tap my phone. So all of those things I think are fascinating. The interesting thing for us, and this is a biased view, is regardless of the device, you need data and you need connectivity, and those are two things that we have within our industry.
Yeah. Look, I probably know your first answer to this because you've already mentioned it. But apart from 5G, what big developments do you see on the horizon this year for one?
Yeah, SpaceX.
Yeah.
That's one. We've also got something I can't talk too much about coming, which is a big loyalty program. So one of the things that we hear from our customers is, we want great pricing, but also we'd like you to acknowledge that we have a choice and how long we've been with you for, so our tenure. So that's something that we've been thinking about a lot, because we really want to demonstrate that we actually know how important it is to have acknowledge our customers' loyalty towards us. So that's one thing I'm excited about. The team's thinking about now. But SpaceX is on the horizon. It's ahead of schedule. Text launches this year, the voice and data soon after, and the satellites are being successfully launched every week. We'll have nearly 2,000 up by the end of the year, and then that means that you'll be able to keep in touch where and whenever you need to across Aotearoa, as long as you can see the sky. So, and that includes 12 nautical miles off the coast of New Zealand. And then the other thing about it is, Elon Musk's principle is maximum impact for the maximum number of people. So as part of the construct, we sign a reciprocal roaming deal with the other telcos that have signed up. And so when New Zealanders travel to Australia, for example, they'll have access to SpaceX because they're with one, or the States, or Canada, some of the markets that have signed up. So I was saying to someone the other day, it's actually going to be possible for you to get in a boat, sail across to Australia just with your smartphone in your pocket, and you'll be connected to the Starlink satellite to mobile connectivity. So that's mind-blowing. And these are 850 Ks in lower orbit, traveling at 27,000 kilometers an hour. And there's 2,000 building to 4,000, all having to be in sequence with anti-collision technology so they don't crash into each other. And then every 6 years, those satellites have to be retired. And then another one has to come up into that 4,000 satellites in sequence that are traveling at 27,000 Ks an hour. Like, it's just mind-blowing technology. The people behind this are amazing. And how cool is it that, One New Zealand engineers are working with the SpaceX engineers on trialing that stuff, right? It's really cool. And we want to make sure it's accessible to all. So people don't need to worry about that all of a sudden it's going to be a $50 a month price point, and in fact, our intention is to bundle it into a lot of our existing plans. So we want to make sure that it's accessible.
Look, I do think it's a game changer, the low Earth orbit satellites. So yeah, cool. I did just talking about Elon and going back to our hybrid working. I don't know. There was a clip on the radio last night. He's everyone has to go to the office every day of the week for him. And anyway, let's not talk Elon.
He has a different view to us on some things.
Yeah.
Not all.
I think so. No. All right, look, we're getting to the end of our conversation, but I'd like you to think broader. You made the joke about the digital leader, but you are one of our leaders. We'd love to see New Zealand being in those sort of top 10 digital nations. We're going backwards at the moment from what I can see, but so what big ideas should we be concentrating on as a nation?
I have one. I'm not sure how easy it is going to be to execute. So I know there are lots of challenges within Aotearoa around health and transportation and housing, but for me, the most important one is education, because I think that it's the next generation coming through that will grow the pie for everyone. And what I see at the moment is some people who have generated wealth through land ownership and home ownership over time are resistant to change and worried about this next generation coming through and wanting to innovate and take more risks that they're comfortable with. But if we don't let them, then we'll be fighting over a greater share of a smaller pie. And we want to benefit everyone by growing the pie. And that's why I think, to your point, digital innovation, digital success, and our historical track record would suggest that it's possible. So education for me. And I came across an idea many years ago now that I really liked. It was out of Israel, where what they did is the universities attracted the best and the brightest entrepreneurs from Israel back into the universities by giving them a shareholding in the ideas that their students came up with or the patents that they created. And I think it would be fascinating if that was the case, and entrepreneurs who want to, do cool things with cool people, but also create, not just wealth, not just benefit for the world, but wealth for themselves. Imagine if they could mentor, lecture, work side by side with the next generation and the smartest people coming through our universities on digital innovation. And you go to your uni and you have Michelle Dickinson and Rod Drury and Peter Beck lecturing you, working beside you, and there's a value exchange where, of course, I'm going to give away a percentage of my business or my idea, because it wouldn't be as awesome as it could be if I didn't have their guidance. Imagine how attractive New Zealand would be to foreign students coming here to go to university, because you get to go to university with some of the best entrepreneurs. And why restrict it to just the best New Zealand digital entrepreneurs? Why wouldn't you go like Aotearoa is a fantastic country to live in? Why wouldn't we attract people to come in, even for 3 months or 6 months? Some of the best minds in the world. So that's an interesting thing for me, where I wonder if there's an opportunity for us to explode digital innovation by matching our best and brightest young people with the best and brightest around the world and having a value exchange in some way. But it's not a new idea, and that's why I like it, right? One of the things you can try and do is copy and steal with pride, and it's been in Israel for a while. They have a great track record of innovation. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have that here.
What a great suggestion. I mean, it was an issue at the board meeting last week around education and what we were going to do in that space. So I might steal that one with pride as well. So
steal it.
Yeah,
I don't know how easy it would be to execute.
I don't either.
It's definitely one of those things that, over a couple of glasses of wine, you can probably solve the problems of the world.
Yeah. And finally, look, we can't get away from it. It was on your shirt. I mean, is it the Warriors' year? I think you told me last time it was, but look, last year was so good. Are they going to be able to repeat it?
Yeah, they are. Like it was our year last year from my perspective. And this year I'm feeling even more confident. And the reason I'm feeling confident is because the culture within the club, across every team, starting with the CEO, the owner, and Andrew Webster. Paul Harris is the captain. They are just great human beings first of all. Then they recruit brilliantly. So Kurt Capewell coming from Australia, the way he's been described as the New Zealand Simon Mannering, or Sir Simon Mannering, as I call him. So I'm feeling really good. And I do think it's one of the toughest sporting competitions in the world, which is why we've been there for 30 years and we've been sponsoring for 25, and we haven't got over the line yet. But when you get in that top 4, anything can happen. And we had really good finals experience last year that I think will position us very, 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 very well for 2024. So yes, it's our year.
Cool. Hey, look, it's been so great talking to you again, Jason. Don't do it enough, but great to hear your thoughts around if things have changed and what's going on. So any last comments you want to make before we close this off?
No. Thanks very much for having me, and appreciate everyone's support of One New Zealand. And as always, I'm your personal account manager, jason.paris@one.nz.
All righty. Hey, thanks so much, everybody, for listening or watching. This podcast is going to be on every podcast app you can think of, and on our YouTube channel. So thank you, Jason, and ka kite anō.